questions for you.
Yes.
And
You
truly do not have to answer them out loud.
keep it to
You
yourself.
keep it to yourself.
How old
How
are you?
old are you?
Just think about
Just think about, how old are you?
No.
No. Just answer to yourself.
How old do you feel?
How old do you feel?
Oh, see?
Oh, see? She'll answer that
Just grab that one.
one. Just grab that one too. How old do you feel? Just grab it inside yourself. Yeah.
So
So I'm somewhat curious about the first answer.
Do you know that I'm not
Do you know that I'm not old?
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. There's one. I'm not old. Now, I feel very, very young. In fact, sometimes, depending on where I am, I have to watch how I move in the world based upon how young I feel. I got a secret for you. I'm going to tell you a secret. Ernest Holmes is very clear on this.
I'll let you in on a
So
secret.
I'll let you in on a secret, thanks to him,
Founder of science.
our founder of Science of Mind. You
not
do not,
capital N-O-T,
capital N-O-T,
have to grow.
have to grow old.
You do not.
You do
have to
not
grow.
have to grow old.
Who wants some of
Who
that?
wants some of that?
All right.
All right, here we go.
You do not have
You
to
do
grow
not
old.
have to grow old. So
we're going to explore some of this.
we're going to explore some of this. We're going to explore it through the mind, the body, and the connection of the mind-body, and how we connect to it. So let's start with the mind. Right?
It tells us that
It tells us that the real power of thought,
of decision,
of decision, and of
never
imagination
grows
never
old.
grows old.
Excuse me, have a friend.
Excuse me, have a friend I want to get rid of. For now.
The real power of thought,
The
and
real
decision
power of
and
thought, decision, and imagination never grows old. So this capacity to think, this capacity to imagine, this capacity to create, and all of that, it never, ever grows old.
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing.
It's just as certain
It's just as certain
when
we've gone around the sun 90 times as it was when we had 9 or 19 or 29. It's just as certain.
It doesn't leave us.
It doesn't leave
It's
us.
always present.
It's always present. And
the mind
within us that is us can never grow old because it's only one mind, and that is a big capital 1, capital M in mind, in which we use.
There's no such
thing of the one mind ever being old.
This mind was not born.
This mind was not born. This mind does not die. This mind is eternal.
An incredible book of Ernest
An incredible book of Ernest Holmes. It's not our book of the month, but I'm pulling from it today. Because there's a chapter in this book, this thing called life, that is so profound. Chapter 7, when you buy it,
I'm going to tell you what he
I'm going to tell you what he says. He says, the mind does
Well,
not grow
what
old.
is the
Well,
mind anyway?
what is the mind anyway?
There you have me.
There you have me, for I have not the slightest idea what the mind is. See, Ernest Holmes doesn't even have all the answers.
I had a friend
who once had the great privilege of meeting Mr. Thomas Edison.
and in a burst
of enthusiasm, she asked,
Edison,
Mr. Edison,
is
what is electricity.
He looked at her very
He
kindly.
looked at her very kindly and with a sort of whimsical smile and answered,
My dear,
"My dear,
electricity,
electricity is.
use it.
Use it."
Yay!
Yay, Edison, preach.
Someone agreed.
Someone agreed.
This great
Inventive genius knew more about electricity than most, but he did not claim to know what it is. As a matter of fact, electricity is an energy in the universe which we use. Yes?
You did not make it.
You did not make
Did
it.
not make it.
I did not make it.
Perhaps even God.
Perhaps
did
even
not
God
create
did not
electrical
create
energy.
electrical energy.
We could debate that.
We could debate that.
Probably
It has always
But
existed. But you will say, what has
to
this
do with my mind?
to do with my mind growing old?
Nothing in particular.
Nothing in particular, except that it should help us to understand that the energies of nature, whether we call them electricity or the energy of creative imagination, belong to life,
And your mind
and your mind
is
is some part of this reality. Wow.
I love this.
I love this.
It's electricity.
What is electricity?
My
My
dear,
dear, electricity is. Use it.
So
So,
have this one mind.
We have this one mind.
We don't have to know.
We don't
what it
have
is.
to know what it
It
is.
just is.
It just
Use
is. Use it.
I love that.
I love that.
And yet,
And yet,
aren't we at times by
bombarded by
things like
things like what's going to happen to our mind as we grow?
Won't say it.
We won't
The
say
word
it.
that shall not be
The word
named.
that shall not be named today.
Right?
Right?
And so we use it.
And so we use it,
never
and it
grows old.
never grows old.
And this
Also
is
is primarily true
for this thing as well.
for this thing as well,
For our bodies.
for our bodies.
So if we think about it,
So if we think about it, the body of God, the body of spirit, the body of all of life, the cosmos, whatever we choose to call it, this which has no circumference to it, right? It constantly changes form.
It lets go of things.
It lets go of things all the time.
It brings in things.
It brings in things all the time. It's brand new things pop up all the time. It renews, it continues. It just keeps circulating. Letting go, bringing in, letting go, bringing in, right? Well, this is the same for our physical bodies as well.
It's
It's exactly the same. In all things, we are the micro of this macro thing that we don't even have to understand what it is. We just use it because we are it.
In
In 12 months' time from this day, mark it, when we come back here 1 year later, every single one of the trillion of cells in your body have at some time in that 12 months let go and renewed itself. So if we think of this, our bodies can't grow old.
Let it go,
Letting it go, bringing it in. Letting it go, bringing it in.
And so we have
brand new cells. Do you know that right now we're all less than 1 year old?
And yet look how wise.
And yet look how wise we are.
Or not.
Or not. We are still an infant in our bodies.
Feel that.
Feel that.
Grab that.
Grab that.
Realize that.
Realize that.
Ernst Holmes
tells us the reason why the physical body is not yet a year old and never will be is that the continuous activity of the mind principle, spiritual principle, is in us, is forever dissolving and forever reforming the body.
It's doing it.
It's doing it without us knowing it.
That's amazing.
That's amazing to me.
Do you know that there was a time,
Do you know that there was a time in human history where the expected lifetime, the average lifetime for human beings was 20 years old?
Goodness,
When did you have time to go to work?
20 years old.
20 years old.
This woman,
I found a quote from her, Laura Carstensen from the Stanford Center on Longevity. She says, more years were added to the average life expectancy in the 20th century than all years added across all prior millennia of human evolution combined. In a blink of an eye, we nearly doubled the length of time that we're living.
You want to know what the
average?
I
rise above averages. I'm just going to tell you that before I even tell you what they are.
Using
our spiritual principles. But the average age and the average life expectancy in 2018 is?
You want to know what that is?
You want to know what that is?
Okay, let's start with the men.
Okay, let's start with the men.
76.
76.
Woohoo! That's not
Woohoo!
20.
That's not 20.
That's average.
That's average.
Women.
1. 81.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
That's average.
That's average.
Now we're all above that.
Now we're all above that average. Not currently. I'm just talking about times around the sun. But isn't that cool?
So
this life that we live is so full of activity. You think about the macro. This life is so full of activity. All of life is active. I dare say life doesn't rest on its laurels. Ever.
And so when we
stop being active in the micro,
we
are turning away from the newness of life.
I remember a time,
I don't know, I was probably in my early 40s.
I'm just barely past
that. I had a birthday while I was gone. But it's just a trip around the sun. Who cares, right? Okay. But I remember it was sometime in my early 40s. My mother bless her heart. Shared with me. Karen, you've been active your entire life. I mean, I played sports probably. I was swimming before I could walk. Things like that. Just a little active jelly bean. And so, see, we can let go of all those things about boys and girls. Anyway, I digress. But she said, because you've been active all your life and you're continuing to be active, because at the time I was cycling hundreds and hundreds of miles a week out in the Bay Area. And she said, when you get old, you're going to have so many aches and pains and joints and stuff. Because, I chopped a lot of wood when I was young. This is my mom. And I did this, and I used the chainsaw, and I'm just aching all over. Do you know what I said right in that moment? I kid you not. I said, don't you dare say that this is the truth of my life.
A
member of our community, not too long ago, she hurt her foot. She's very active. And she's now in the 6th decade of her life. Right? She's very active. She does ballroom dancing. She rides horses like crazy. And she hurt her foot. And she started going to doctors around here. And they said, I'm sorry, but you're never going to be able to dance and ride a horse again. And it's okay. Because these are the doctors. You should expect
you
ought not be doing this stuff anyway at your age.
You know what she did?
You know what she did? She didn't listen to a one. She kept going to a doctor and to a doctor and to a doctor. She actually went to Colorado because she found a doctor that said, absolutely, I can do this surgery. You'll be back. You'll be ballroom dancing before you know it and riding your horse.
And it's true.
And it's true.
She practices here.
She practices here still when no one's here. In Pinky Fellowship Hall. Her tango. We don't have to listen to anyone tell us from a physical standpoint where we can be or where we ought to be, right? We do not have to buy into any of this stuff as it relates to where we are and how many times we've gone around the sun. Called our age and be told we're old. I'm inspired by this other sister. I want y'all to see. Oh, sorry. Let's try it again. He's got to turn down the lights. I'm inspired by this other sister that might go beyond what we could imagine.
Madonna Buter, an 86-year-old nun. Oh, sorry, sister. Sister Madonna Buter, 86 years old, goes for a morning run. Good for you, sister. She's still active at her age. That's great. Whoa, maybe a little too active. Nap time, sister?
I don't think so.
The sister doesn't think so. Okay. Wait, what? Iron Man? No. This is a bad idea, sister. A real bad idea. Relax, she's the Iron Man. But she won't make it. This is an Iron Man.
The first 45 didn't kill me.
You've done 45 of these? Okay. Do your thing, sister. Do your thing.
Do your thing, sister. Do your thing.
So
We can't be onlookers.
we can't be onlookers. Or we can. It's your choice. To be active participants in this thing called life, which is active anyway. It just doesn't rest. You know, I had a boss, and no matter what I thought of him at the time, he had a phrase that I absolutely loved. He'd say, "I can sleep when I'm dead."
And I use that.
And I use that. I took it from him. When someone says, well, I can sleep when I'm dead. But to be active in our life. Ernest Holmes tells us that the thing that really matters is that while you and I are living in the world, we should be 100% alive. Filled with joy and enthusiasm. Filled with energy and power. Yes. And yet believe that we're vital, that we have this energy, that we have this power, and to be 100% alive. Because today, this is today. That's it. Today. 100% alive. Today. And you can wake up tomorrow, do the same thing. Just do it, right? And so I love that some people said, "I'd missed your enthusiasm." The root word of enthusiasm is entheos, to be with, to be as God, as life itself. There was a time in my life where people would say, "You're too enthusiastic, you're just too big energy." And I used to go, No. Keeps me youthful.
I
love my enthusiasm.
So to believe
that we are vital. And so our trouble is not that our mind grows old, but we're the ones who let it slow down. We're the ones that let it slow down. And it happens, and it can creep in oh so subtly. Sometimes we're not even aware of it. Sometimes when we least expect it, we begin to feel we're getting older. And then we mentally accept the belief that the vitality of our youth is no longer with us.
And
when we believe that the vitality of our youth is no longer with us, the vitality of our youth is no longer as us.
So we got to watch
And not let that creep in. Just like when Bless Her Heart Mother said something. What did I do? I immediately said, no, that is not my reality. So when this feeling comes, that then may lead to a belief, we're the only ones inside of us that can say, no, that's not my reality. Doesn't matter what my friend's reality is, my spouse's reality, my friend's reality, what my doctor's saying or not, right? We get to say no inside ourselves. Now there's another thing to add to this wonderful equation of being young at heart to being never growing old. Ernest Holmes tells us that our lives are so tied in with God, the living Spirit, that we cannot remain young and enthusiastic unless we know that we are one with that which knows no age and no burdens. So we need to continue to remember, but I am one with that which has no age, which has always been, was never born, always shall be, forever and ever. I am one with that. I am the micro. It is me. I am it.
Okay, I got one more question.
Okay, I got one more question for you. Ready?
Would you really
like to stay young forever?
Yeah. Would you?
Would you?
Ready?
You ready? If you really want to stay young forever,
stop thinking old
stop thinking old thoughts. Stop thinking old thoughts.
We can, in every single day that we wake up,
we can choose to revitalize our mental processes. Like, wake them up just as our body wakes up. You know, I don't know. How do you wake up? Some mornings I wake up and what's the first thing that I feel and realize? Some pain in my body. And then how long does that last through the day? You know, but we can, when we first wake up, we can revitalize all of our mental processes. I brought you something that you could take home in an affirmation, but choose your own revitalization drink. When you wake up in the morning, or before you even have your first cup of coffee, or even before you meditate, if you want, whatever your spiritual practice looks like in the morning, you can say something like this. So let's say this together. You ready? I am full of enthusiasm. Today, I enjoy everything I do. My mind and body is alive, awake, and full of youth. That's supposed to be youth, but full of you, too. You're so full of you youthful thing. Much better. So pick something. Take this or, oh my gosh, Ernest Holmes has so many great meditations in the Science of Mind. Look, just, but... And what I love about this idea, when we all start doing this when we wake up, is that perhaps you'll be surprised at the physical wrinkles these other new thoughts start to erase. We could be billionaires in this community. Let's just do that. Like, I've got the thing that will absolutely... I just had a creative idea. That's $1 million idea. In this moment. But Laugh with me.
Really, think about it.
Really, think about it. Everybody's looking for the things that take away wrinkles. What if this was it?
Bottle it, Laney.
Bottle it, Lena.
Let's experiment.
Let's experiment.
I'd love to see you.
I'd love to see you a year from now because all of your cells are brand new anyway. And you go, look, Rev Karen, whatever you want to call me. I don't care.
They're gone. They're gone. I've been using that
vitality potion
that
that you talked about
the
the last Sunday of August.
I don't have any wrinkles.
I don't have any wrinkles. Physically, mentally, spiritually.
Youth is not.
Youth is not a time of life.
It is a state of mind. It's a state of mind.
It's a state of mind.
And nobody grows old by merely living
a number of years.
No one.
No one.
The years
perhaps
wrinkles the skin.
wrinkles the skin.
But to give up
enthusiasm
wrinkles the soul.
wrinkles the soul. So if
you can learn to keep
your thoughts fresh,
learn to keep your thoughts
young,
if you have this
genuine, enthusiastic zest for living,
you can never grow old.
you can never grow old. You can never grow old.
Last quote from Holmes
that I want to gift you with today. He tells us that whatever your years,
there is
in every being's heart
the love of wonder,
the undaunted challenge of events,
the
unfailing childlike appetite
for what's next,
and for the joy in the game of life.
You are as young
as your faith,
as old
as your fear,
as young
as your hope,
as
old
as your despair.
He says in the central place of every heart
there is a
recording chamber.
Think of this.
A recording chamber. It records.
So long
as it receives messages of beauty, cheer, and courage. So long as you are young. Careful what you place in the recording chamber.
In this moment,
there is somewhere
a cell,
at least one, right now, in all of our bodies, that is let go,
and
a brand new one has come in.
That gives me hope
for myself, and perhaps it will for you. It does not matter what you've ever thought, what you've ever done, what you've ever believed. Back there, before this cell came in, new and youthful. From this moment forward. Be young at heart.
Be the
micro of the macro that is so alive unending, limitless, and knows no age to itself. I invite us all to take up being young at heart. And so it is.